Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Chris Williams and I am so excited to invite you to the Abundant Living Summit for Women Wellness Entrepreneurs. And today I actually get to share my superpower, which is actually being a time bender. And I am so excited to share with you the Whitespace workshop. So I'm going to share my screen in just a minute and I'm going to take you through the Whitespace workshop. One of the things that I love to do is to help women entrepreneurs really reclaim their sense of time, reclaim their sense of power, and how they actually get to do business from being fully sourced. So it's not about the hustle, it's not about the stress, it's not about the lack of time to be able to do what it is that we want to do. Time is actually something that we actually have an abundance of, but we need to change the way that we are seeing how we are using time and the decisions that we're making with time. And so I'm going to help you unlock the 7 keys that I share with my clients on how they can actually create more white space on their calendar. Because when you have more white space on your calendar, you are actually allowing yourself to be fully nourished, to allow yourself to receive those divine downloads that are the ideas that lead you into the next step to actually implement an idea or come up with an idea that's of service to your community or your business. When you have more white space on your calendar, you are really being fully sourced so that you can show up and be the business owner, the mom, the wife, the partner, the coach, the practitioner that you want to be, and really be of full service. Because what we know in the wellness world, all of you know this, I know I'm speaking to the choir when I say this, but we can't give from a full cup or from an empty cup. We can't give from an empty cup, right? We have to have a full cup. And so what we get to do is decide that we fill our cup and we give from overflowing. But yet many of us are so good about giving, and we give and we give and we give and we give, and we end up stressed out, we end up depleted, and we end up burnt out, and there really is nothing left. We end up giving our clients, our spouses, our partners, our kids, our family, ourselves, the D- version instead of what we could really give them if we created more margin and when we create more white space on our calendar to actually be fully sourced. So I'm going to share that with you today. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you and take you through the Whitespace workshop. So for those of you that are just joining me, I'm Chris Williams. I am a business and leadership coach specifically for wellness coaches and holistic practitioners. I help you build a heart-centered coaching practice without having to do the sales calls and the discovery sessions. I help you build and nurture your community so that you can then invite them to be a yes for their own transformations. And today I'm going to take you through this PDF, which is called the Whitespace Workshop. You can download this at the link that you got this video from today, and this is yours forever, so you can keep this. And if you want to re-listen to any of these videos, we've got 15 amazing, phenomenal women here sharing their zone of genius, sharing their superpowers. You can absolutely grab that in your all access pass, and you can have that forever. So super excited to dive in and share with you the 7 keys to adding more white space to your calendar and abundance into your bank account. They actually go together. And that is something so interesting, right? Like, I know when I first started, I felt like, no, like I can't take any time off. I have to work. Because if I don't work, if I don't work hard, I'm not actually going to be able to create what it is that I want to create. And the absolute opposite is true. That when we allow ourselves to have this white space, we actually work with our time in a more effective, productive way. And yet one of the questions that I hear so often from my clients is that I'm feeling overwhelmed. How do I actually run this coaching practice and be a present mom? How do I do all of the things that need to do and still take care of me and run a thriving business? So I hope that you enjoy this, and I'm so super excited to share the 7 keys with you. So we're going to unlock your 7 keys for how you can add more white space to your calendar that will translate to abundance in your bank account. So the first key that I want to talk about today is intention. What is intention? Intention is how we are choosing to see the world. This is the first key, and this is where we need to start. This is actually the way that we are showing up in the world. This is, who are you being in the world? What is your intention? And one of the things that I stopped saying was I stopped saying that I'm busy. And it's funny because my husband and I in the morning, we share coffee together, and he always asks, he's like, so are you busy today, Chris? And I'm like, no, I have a full plate of possibilities. So I don't see myself as busy. No matter how packed my schedule, if I keep seeing myself as busy, 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 hustle, 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 then that is actually what I'm going to create more of in the world. So this is where you get to decide, you know what, I'm done with the busy, I'm done with the hustle. Instead, I am choosing to have the intention to show up in the world as a 6-figure, 7-figure coach, wellness practitioner, whatever it is that you want to be. That person, we get to choose who it is that we are going to be, and we get to allow ourselves to be fully sourced first. So when you think of a woman who has got freedom of her time and is able to kind of go with the flow instead of struggling to swim upstream, what does she look like? What does she look like? If you were to see a future version of you that was actually experiencing lots of margin in her day, lots of white space where she has time to maybe have a luxurious morning and take a full hour for lunch and do something joyful every day. What do you see her doing? What do you see her feeling? So that's the first place, is we want to get really, really clear with our intention. And notice that there's another question here too, is that when she is acting from this place of being fully sourced, what are the ripples that she gets to create in the world? So we want to really know that time freedom, when we desire this time freedom, when we desire this money freedom, we get to actually step into the version of what that looks like for us. So I really want to encourage you every morning, and I do this every morning, and I teach my clients to do this every morning, is we set our intention for the day. Just spend a quick 3 to 5 minutes and see in detail how it is that you are moving through your day with joy, with freedom, with purpose, with feeling fully sourced. And notice that how you are being different in the world when you actually give yourself that space to do that. The second key that we're going to talk about is attention. So once we set our intention for who we are going to be in the world, and this is an internal experience, who are we deciding to choose to be in the world? How are we going to show up? We get to take off the badge of busy. Now we get to look at, what are we focused on? Are you focused on all of the to-dos and how busy you are? Do you tell yourself and others how overwhelmed you are? Oh my God, I'm so busy. I'm so stressed out. It's almost like that badge of busy, right? We wear that badge of busy, that somehow we are seeing that as valuable. That if we are busy, that means that we're doing something important in the world. And if we're not busy, somehow we're not doing something important in the world. So this is where I really want you to get clear about what it is that you choose to focus your intention on. Because what you focus on grows. And if you focus on how overwhelmed you are or how busy you are, then you are actually going to be creating the experience in your life that is going to support that thought. So if I walk through my day feeling, oh my God, I don't have time for anything, then I'm actually going to be looking for the experiences in my life that come back to support that idea of what I'm focusing on, which is, I don't have time to do anything. So what are you focusing on? Instead, I want to invite you to choose where you put your intention. So take off the badge of busy and choose where you are focusing on. Choose on the moments when you actually feel in the flow. Choose to see the spaces and the white space and the time you actually are breathing. Let go of the old habits that you keep reverting back to, and instead see yourself and act as if you are already having the desire that you want. And the other thing that we get to do is we get to say no thank you to the things that are not working for us as well. So I know I mentioned to you earlier that when my husband says, hey, do you have a busy day? I'm like, no, I actually have a full plate of possibility. I see it as potential. I see it as possibility. When I wake up in the morning, I make a conscious choice to say, who is it that I get to serve today? I don't think, oh my gosh, how stressed out am I today because my calendar is so full and I've got to do all this and I've got to do this and I've got to take my kid here and then I've got to run back here and I've got to do this, that, and the other thing. I don't do that. I wake up and I think, who do I get to serve today? And that makes me feel expansive and that makes me feel joyful. And I put my attention on that. The third key that we're going to unlock is actually design. And this is really where I get a lot of the how-tos. So when I talk about designing, this is how are we going to create a personal design for what you are actually saying yes to and what you're saying no to. And I'm also going to take you through a really quick sheet on setting up your conditions to thrive. Because here's what I see commonly happening in the world, and you might actually relate to this in your own life too, is that we end up putting all of the things, all of our to-dos on our calendar, but we don't actually put our conditions to thrive on our calendar. We don't block out the morning for our meditation, or we don't block out the lunch, or we don't block out the date nights, or we don't block out the things that we're actually doing that are joyful. We put all of the to-dos in there, but we're not putting down and actually planning for our own conditions to thrive. And that is different for everybody. So I'm going to take you through that in just a minute, but this is where we really get to take a look and say, you know what am I a hell yes for in my life? What do I want to experience? And what am I a no for? And we also get to give ourselves permission to create a life by design. We get to say, you know what, this is what I want. And we get to get our conditions to thrive on our calendar first, and then we plan our business around it, so that our business is not running us, we are actually running our business. So one of the ways that I do this is actually by time blocking, and I create a rhythm, and I'm going to take you through that today too. I cannot wait to share this with you. So time blocking is a way to actually flow through the day instead of having this contracted, strict schedule. So this isn't about saying, okay, from 8 to 8:30, I'm going to do this, and from 8:30 to 9 o'clock, I'm going to do this. It's actually about creating a rhythm through your day so that you can have a more expansive sense of freedom, but also have that freedom within structure. So I'm going to share that with you. So let's dive into the conditions to thrive. So this is one of my all-time secrets that I love to share. I call it my time-bending secret, and that is set up your conditions to thrive first. This is what creates a solid foundation. This is what allows you to feel fully sourced and good and alive and joyful and expansiveness and energized, so that you can be, again, the entrepreneur, the business owner, the wife, the mom, the partner you want to be in the world, and to be able to do that with joy and to be able to flow through your days with ease. So again, this is where I start. Whenever I have a client that says, I am so overwhelmed, awesome. Let's dive in. Let's set up your foundations. Let's make sure, is your solid foundation to thrive set up, or are you skipping it and just diving right into your email, diving right into Facebook, diving right into your to-dos when you first wake up? And nobody's perfect, believe me. I definitely go through times where I realize that, oh, I totally just kind of fell out of my morning rhythm. And I know that I can actually create the conditions to thrive that is going to help me create the experience that I want to have. And I get to set what those conditions are. So some of those things are that we get to decide that the struggle is optional. This does not have to be a hard thing. That is actually a choice. If we are choosing to make this hard, then that is the experience that we are going to have. We get to create and contribute and sustain a nurturing environment so that we can be in alignment and our soul can help guide us throughout our day and throughout our business. When we allow ourselves to be fully sourced, we are more open to receiving that guidance and that wisdom that is in alignment with our heart and our mission and how we want to impact the world. And the side effect of that is that it feels amazing. We feel like we're in the flow. We also feel productive. So again, it's not about how do we find more time in our day. We all have the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day. Time is actually one of the things that is unlimited. It was here before we were born. It's going to be here after we are gone and transition to another place. We actually have an abundance of time. It's how are we choosing to see it? Are we seeing it as a struggle? Are we seeing as we need to kind of jam pack our calendars with things in order to help us feel valuable? Or are we going to allow ourselves to have these conditions to thrive that actually set ourselves up for success? So some of the things that I like to do our daily meditation. The Calm app, the Daily Calm, is one of my favorites. I put on a quick meditation, 10, 15 minutes. It allows me to really center and ground. Another thing is moving my body, giving myself permission to just go out for a walk. It doesn't need to be hard. It doesn't have to be that I have to hit the gym for an hour. It can be something as simple, you know what, I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna go for a walk and I'm gonna breathe the fresh air and I'm gonna move my body. Nourishing my body. So allowing myself to really nourish my body and saying, you know what, I'm going to make sure that I take time for lunch. There was a time in my life prior to actually working with wellness entrepreneurs. I was a wellness entrepreneur. I was a massage therapist, and I would try to pack my clients in, and I wouldn't take lunch, and I'd have breakfast, and I'd wait until I got home, and I wasn't nourishing my body. And I remember one time one of my friends said, Chris, how long can you really go between meals? And I'm like, oh, 8 hours easy. Well, what was happening is that I was getting home and I was really a cranky mama, and I was frustrated that there was dishes in the sink and shoes on the floor, and I was grabbing, the peanut butter filled pretzels in the pantry. I was not allowing myself to really nourish my body. And it's because I was coming home in a very contracted state. Once I allowed myself and opened up my schedule and said, I'm a yes for allowing myself to be nourished with 3 full meals a day, and I'm going to take this time to nourish myself. It allowed the work that puts us in a contraction mode, it allows that space to expand. So allow yourself to have a lunch that really feeds and nourishes you. Limiting sugar and alcohol is another one. That doesn't mean no sugar. That doesn't mean no alcohol. It means limit it so that our body is able to actually have the energy that it needs instead of going through these up and down moods. Journaling is another way that people love to actually nourish themselves. Just getting the thoughts out of their head and writing it down, even if it's just one line. I love to read something inspiring every single day. And one of my favorite books right now that I'm reading, actually I've got 2 favorite books and I'll share them with you. One is Chillpreneur, and another one is called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. And it is all about how it is that we are seeing the world, how we're seeing ourselves in the world, how we are allowing ourselves to step into the abundance of time and energy and freedom and wealth and joy that's available for us right now. So read something inspiring and uplifting. Allow yourself to start your day from that place. Nature, going out for a walk, sitting out in the sun. I actually love to go out and ground. One of my very good friends that you actually got to hear during this summit, Laura Conover, she talks about the benefits of grounding. She's got an amazing book out called The Earth Prescription. And so I hope you enjoyed listening to her. Grounding is one of my favorite things to do. So just going barefoot outside, sitting outside, allowing myself to listen to nature, that is another condition to thrive that I allow myself to engage in on a daily basis. And then another thing that I do that people are really surprised about, but I really do block off time every quarter. And actually every day I add fun into my calendar. Every week I have something that I'm going to do that's fun as well. And then every quarter I actually plan a retreat. So I actually go away for a good 2 to 3 days. I go to an amazing place called the Well of Mercy. It's a retreat center that I go to every quarter. It's also a retreat center that I take my mastermind clients to so that they can be fully sourced, so that they can dive into being fully sourced, getting back into connection with their soul. So we do both, a combination of strategy as well as self-care. And I do that every quarter. I make sure that I block that off every quarter. So take a look at your calendar. Are you adding something fun every day? Are you adding something fun that you can do every week? Even every month? Like maybe you just want to do something fun every single month. Are you actually scheduling in these pieces of joy so that you can have that experience of joy and freedom with your family, with your spouse, or even just allowing yourself to rent an Airbnb and go away for a little bit and have some downtime and read? And then once a year, actually it turned out to be more like twice a year for me, I do something big. So me and my husband, we love to travel. As a matter of fact, we got married in Scotland. We decided that it was our second marriage. We were going to do something for us. So we went on this big trip. We got married in Scotland. Every year, he and I, we do some sort of amazing trip. Last year, we went to Iceland. And I go on a great trip with him. And I also take my boys. I've got 3 amazing boys, and I take them on a trip too. So I block out space and I make sure that I've got space for them because that's important to me. That is actually something that allows me to thrive and experience joy in my life. So I already talked about the quarterly retreat. And then the other thing that I do that I just want to give you an invitation to take a look at is, how are you powering down at night? Are you just watching TV until you're tired and then going to bed? Are you on Facebook or on your computer until 10, 11 o'clock and then there's no time to really shut down? When I implemented this, my whole sleep pattern and my sleep schedule completely shifted and changed. And so I call this the power down hour. I am really, really big on making sure that you get enough sleep. And I love my sleep. So normally it's around 9:30, I start getting tired now. And I really allow myself a full hour. I go upstairs, I get my nice comfy jammies on. Sometimes I take a shower. Sometimes I grab a cup of tea, and I have an hour just for me to power down. I don't do electronics at that time. I might grab a book that I'm reading and read a cup of tea or read something that feels relaxing. Sometimes I will use the Daily Calm and listen to a sleep story, but that allows my body to actually get the message that it is time to pivot. It is time for sleep. And if those of you that are mamas, again, because this is a Women Wellness Entrepreneur Summit, if you remember when your kids were little ones, you had a sleep routine for them. I know with mine, it was bath time, jammies, a book, and their bodies got used to that, and it helped them actually sleep. And yet as adults, we totally get out of that. We end up going to bed with our cell phones or our iPads or our computers. Sometimes we're working until then. And what we're doing is we're getting all of this light, all of this blue light, and all of these false lights out in our homes that are telling our brain that it's time to be up. And when we don't get good sleep, that affects us on the next day as well. So I want you to just spend some time here and to take a look at any of these things. What would be 1, 2, 3 things that you could take from this list and just write this down on this PDF? What are some of your conditions to thrive? It might be some of the things that I mentioned here. You might have something else. I know a friend of mine actually likes to put essential oils on in the morning and light a candle for part of her morning routine. So what does that look like for you? Write down some of your conditions to thrive, and then make sure that that gets scheduled on your calendar. Super, super important that we do that first. Write down your birthdays, schedule out the holidays, give yourself time and space first, and then we get to plan the other things around it. All right, now we get to dive into rhythm. So again, we're still on designing, and this is the difference that made another shift for me. Instead of looking at it from a place of contracture and structure that if I don't follow through, somehow I'm failing. Instead, I designed a rhythm. So I know that I've got a morning rhythm, I've got a midday rhythm, I've got an afternoon rhythm, and I've got an evening rhythm. So instead of saying, oh, Chris, you know what? It's 8:30. You said you were going to start your morning routine at 8 o'clock. You've blown it. No, it's the morning. I allow myself to have a morning routine. And this allows you to have that spaciousness of flow and rhythm through your day instead of a strict routine that can actually take us out of the game because we feel that we failed if we're not following that routine to a T. Yes, I am a recovering perfectionist. And so for those of you that are recovering perfectionists, this might work really, really well for you, is by allowing yourself to have a block of time for your morning, for your midday, for your afternoon, and for your evening. And another thing that I want to say about time blocks is that one of the things that allows our brain to actually function effectively is when we block like things together. So for example, when I have client calls, I book those all on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and those are all together. So my brain is not going in between serving a client and trying to create something for a group program, or being on a group call and then in between sessions, then having to switch to do something else. So block like items together. And that really allows your brain to kind of stay focused, and then you're going to get more done instead of client call, let me just check Facebook. Client call, let me create this. client call, and then there's an hour in between. So I really love to block my time together and to do like things on the same days. So I do all of my group programs the same days, all of my client calls the same day. I have an admin day. Mondays are my admin days. Fridays are days that I pop back in on my finances. And the other thing that I haven't shared yet, which I would love to introduce to you, is the concept for me is I actually do a 3-week work month. So I don't take any calls. I don't work with any clients. I don't do any group anything on the last week of every single month. Instead, I reserve that to allow myself to dive into my own self-care, my own personal care. Maybe there's things that I want to dive into in my personal development that I'm learning and up-leveling with my coach. Maybe there's some things that I want to create or catch up on, and that allows me to have that freedom as a flex week to actually do what it is that I want to do. The next piece in the design portion is we get to design what your business basics are. So those of you here that already have these systems and clarity in place, this is beautiful. And for those of you that are maybe just starting in your coaching or in your wellness practice, these are some of the business basics that I've learned that are really, really important. And so you can just print this one page out and take a look at how are you designing your business. So we want to design our life. And then we also get to get really clear about designing our business. And the first step is really having clarity around your business model and your ideal client avatar and who it is that you're actually serving. So when I say business model, I'm talking about, do you want to serve one-on-one clients? Do you want to serve one-to-many clients? How can you leverage your time in a way that is going to allow you to create the impact that you want in the world, as well as bringing in the income? And one of my clients recently is doing amazing. She's hitting 10K months. She's doing phenomenal. She's actually got goals and getting close to hitting 20K months, except she is totally burnt out. And so this is where we get to shift a business model. And she's shifting to a business model of one-to-many so that she can leverage her time. It doesn't mean that she's not going to work with one-on-one clients anymore, but she is absolutely going to be shifting things so that she's got more white space, so that she actually has time to work on her business instead of only in her business. And then the second piece is systems. What systems do you have in place? And when I think about systems, I specifically teach my clients around making sure that you've got some sort of payment system, making sure that you've got some sort of scheduling system, making sure that you've got some sort of payment system or email marketing system. So taking a look at the systems that are going to allow you to do your job with ease. And it is totally worth investing in these paid pieces. So I know there's a lot of free versions out there, but for me, I love actually paying for something that, it's 25, 30 bucks a month maybe for my email marketing system. And it allows me to actually communicate and nurture and build my audience and to communicate with you and to serve you in a way that allows me to do that easily instead of having to try to figure out who I'm sending something to, who I'm not sending something to. All of these pieces can happen really easily. And then programs. How are you serving your clients? This is where you just get to decide, right? What are your offerings? What are you inviting your clients into? It is important, and I teach my clients that in order for us to grow in our business, that we need to have a place for our clients, right? So do you have a bottom tier offer for your clients? Do you have a mid-tier offer? Do you have a top tier offer? I actually dive in depth into this in my program called Activate Abundance. It's a 6-month business accelerator program. And we get really, really clear on what those threes are so that we can keep it really, really simple, really focused. We're not creating a gazillion programs out there, because every time we create a new program, it's actually like a new little business. It might have a slightly different ideal client. So really simplify your offers. And then number 4 is plan. Planning is having a pathway to achieve your goals. So what is your plan? If you know that you want to have 10K months, what is your plan for that? How many clients do you need to serve for that? If you want to have 20K months, what does that look like? Does that mean you're running a group program? Does that mean if you've got a certain yearly goal, how many clients do you need to serve? So what is your plan? Along with your weekly work rhythm and your self-care plans. We talk about that a lot too. So it's not just what is your money plan? What is your profit plan? What is your self-care plan? So that you can remain fully sourced and available and abundant in joy and happiness and health. Because the bottom line is, if you burn yourself out, you're not going to be able to actually run a business or even serve your clients. So a self-care plan, along with the work rhythm that we talked about, and a profit plan is super important to have. This is just business basics. And then the last piece that I teach my clients around is attracting and nurturing their ideal client and their audience. So attracting your ideal clients is so, so important. Building relationships is what makes the difference. People don't wake up and go, hey, I can't wait to invest in this health coaching program today. I've got this special health coaching savings account set aside, and I am just going to be looking for somebody to sign up in a 90-day program, right? Like, that doesn't happen. So how are you attracting and nurturing and building relationships? How are you making people your priority? This is not about tactics. This is not about what tactic do I use so that I can get them into a conversation, so that I can sell them into my program. This is about really building relationships with people and nurturing those relationships so that working with you is the natural next step. And so how are you attracting and nurturing your audience is super important. And then the next key that we're going to go into after design is commit. Now that you've got your personal design, you know what your conditions to thrive are, and you have your business design, now you get to intentionally commit. And this is where I see a lot of coaches falling off. They have a plan, they've got an idea, but they don't actually commit because they're afraid that maybe they don't have A to Z all the way figured out. And this is what I want to share with you, that when you commit to something, that is actually taking the first step, and the how will open up within the commitment. It's not really the other way around. We have to commit to take the action first. We have to commit to align to our desires first, and then we actually get to follow through with it. So what is the commitment to yourself that you can follow through? Maybe your commitment today is to just get your conditions to thrive down. Maybe your commitment is to actually take a look at, what your business model is. Whatever it is, what can you commit to and follow through with so that you can actually have what it is that you desire? And then we get to implement that commitment. So if you're like, hey, all right, Chris, like, this sounds amazing. I'm actually going to commit to writing down my conditions to thrive. Great, you've committed to it. Now you get to implement it. Now you actually get to grab your pen and your piece of paper. You either get to print out that sheet or you can write it down here as we're talking. Now you get to implement the action. Now you get to implement the action. So it's really, really important that you not only commit, but that you then implement the action. And I like calling this inspired action, because we're not just saying, how do I create more clients? We're not trying to force something. How do I get more clients so that I can pay the bills so that I can live a free and abundant life? Notice that we have done all these other things first. We have aligned with the intention of who it is that we desire to be first. Then we've taken a look at what do we want to focus our attention on. Then we've taken a look at what are some of the things that we're committing to. And then we take action based on who it is that we're being in the world. So action actually comes later, but action is a critical piece, because if you believe that you can do it, but you don't take action on it, then that's really unbelief. And there's a quote, and forgive me, I can't remember who said the quote, but belief without action is unbelief. Belief without action is unbelief. So not only do we get to commit to ourselves, but we actually get to implement that piece and follow through with it. And then we get to assess, like, what's working? Like, after we're in business and we're taking a look at our conditions to thrive, what's working? Maybe there's something that we want to shift up. Maybe we're thinking, you know what? I really want to go for my walk in the evening after dinner instead of the morning. Great. Maybe you decide, you know what? One-on-one's not working for me anymore. I want to shift my business model. Great. There is no perfection here. This is your business. You are the CEO of your business. This is where you just get to assess what's working and what is it that you want to shift. And I don't like saying what's not working, because it is all working for you. We are either winning or we're learning. There is no failure in anything that we're doing in our business. We are either winning or learning. We are only getting feedback. So if we feel like something is not giving us the results that we want, then we actually get to just assess it and get the feedback from that and go, okay, what do I want to shift? So this is where you get to allow yourself to let go of the perfection, let go of the things that are no longer serving you, and instead allow yourself to step into your power and just shift, just pivot, and allow yourself to take this action from a place of alignment and empowerment instead of just trying to do something because somebody else wants you to do it. And then the last key here is repeat. Now we get to put this on repeat. Mindset is 80% of your success. Your thoughts create the feelings in your body. It's a chemical reaction, it's a feeling that allows us to either take action, inaction, or reaction. So I want to say that again. The thoughts that we think create a chemical response in our body, which is a feeling. And that feeling causes us to have an action, inaction, or a reaction. And so this is where we get to see that the world is working for us. Again, we are always winning. We get to trust ourselves. We get to have confidence. We get to put the practices in place that are working for us on repeat. And stay in the game, even though you feel sometimes that it might be hard. We know that running our own business can be challenging sometimes. I'm not saying that I never have challenges. What I'm saying is that we get to choose how we are perceiving those challenges. We can let that either take us out of the game, or we can stay in the game, even though it might feel a little bit challenging. And we can reprogram our brain to see it as something that's happening for us. And this is all based on how we retrain our brain to work for us and to know that the world is working for us. This is creating repetition, and repetition is super, super important. That allows our brain to rewire in the direction that we most want to go. So instead of saying, I can't have this, or I can't have that, or I don't know this, or I don't know that, or I'm confused about this, or I'm overwhelmed, or I'm busy, let go of those and choose what you are putting on repeat. What is it that you are putting on repeat? Repetition of what it is that you think and say and do creates new neural pathways and habits. So what is it that you would like to put on repeat? What is it that you would like to happen over and over again, and tell yourself, and the thoughts that are actually going to create the feelings that are going to allow you to take the actions for the result that you want to have in the world? What are those things that you're going to put on repeat? And one of the things that I take a look at, and I teach my clients to take a look at, if they're not getting a result that they want in their practice right now, whether it's if they're feeling overwhelmed and they want to feel more free, or they're not bringing in the income that they're bringing in, or they're not attracting the client that they want to attract, the first thing we do isn't just to take more action. It's to stop and notice, what is the most dominant thought that we're thinking? 51% of the time, our most dominant thought that is playing in the background 51% of the time. And when we get really clear about what that thought is, then we can see, oh, yeah, okay, so I'm not in alignment here. Like, this thought is actually having me create this action, or having me not take action at all. So no wonder this is the result that I'm getting. So what is it that you choose to put on repeat? And that is the last key. That is the seventh key, is what is it that you're choosing to put on repeat? So in this session today, we talked about a lot of amazing information. We talked about the 7 keys to help you add more white space on your calendar. We gave you a new way of seeing rhythm and routine. We gave you a new way to take a look at what are some basics so that you can allow your business to work for you instead of your business to run you. And I talked about some quick, easy action steps that you could take to set up your conditions to thrive. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please feel free to download this PDF if you haven't already. And if you want to keep this and return to this at a later time, please feel free to do so. Grab your all access pass. Again, we've got 15 amazing women that are building and growing their businesses from a place of abundance, from a place of being fully sourced. They are all sharing their zone of genius with you here so that you can continue to do the same. And I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Again, I'm Chris Williams. I am a business and leadership coach for women wellness coaches and holistic practitioners, and I would love to hear from you. Reply to the email that you got around the summit. Let me know where you are in your business. Let me know what an aha is or something of value that you feel that you're taking away from this Whitespace workshop today. And I am so, so happy to connect with you. I read every email that I get. I try to respond to every email, and I would really, really love to hear you and connect with you. All right, my friends, I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for being a part of the Abundant Living Summit, and I hope you have a joyful, abundant day full of freedom and prosperity. Bye.